If everybody can find a seat, we are going to get going. I think we lost Dave, but he's coming back. Welcome to Cashflow Savannah. It's good to see everybody. I have not gotten over to hug you yet. Welcome back. I'm coming though. We have a really great topic tonight, so I'm super excited. If I haven't met you, my name is Julie Gates, and we're so glad to have you. I hope everyone has made a friend. Okay, that's super important. Welcome to Cashflow Savannah. We are streaming live on YouTube, and I managed to bring my 2-mic pack instead of my 3-mic pack. So when Dave gets up to speak and we get to questions, I want y'all to ask questions. But if you'll raise your hand, I'm going to walk over and stand next to you, and then the people streaming live can hear it. Okay, so just teeny bit of etiquette, no big deal. So welcome, welcome. So first, I want to thank our sponsors. I did have a link to our website here, but you guys, this is not a free meetup. It is expensive, and we pay for the space and the content and everything else. So I do want to make sure we thank our sponsor. Do we have any of our sponsors here? Just Kevin? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, Oscar. We have Kevin. Okay, good. So if they're not here, I'm just going to represent them. But I do want to really quick thank our sponsors. We could not do all this without our sponsors. So my first card is Oscar with Nova Insure. Do you want to stand up and talk about Nova Insure, Oscar? No, I'm going to stand next to you. I'm going to stand next to you so they can hear you.
Thank you. I'm Oscar. I represent Nova Insure. We're an independent insurance agent. We've been doing some work for investors in the area, so I'm here to help. Hopefully, we'll meet you after the meeting and share my contact information with you.
Oscar has great rates. He's beat the pants off of multiple insurance providers. And you're an investor yourself, yes, right? So he understands what you're doing, and that's the kind of vendor you want to work with for sure, is someone that really gets it. Look at this. I'm 2 for 2. My second sponsor is Hart Property Solutions in the house. Kevin, tell us how you are the best. We know you're the best, but just tell us one more time. We love Kevin and Beatrice.
I don't know if I'm the best, but
you are the best. You and Beatrice.
We take and buy houses and fix them up and turn them into rental properties. We did fix and flip. We haven't gotten a lot of fix and flip lately, mostly fix and rentals right now. We also do a lot of mentoring with other people to try and make sure that people don't make the same mistakes we made when we started.
Yeah.
And so, we're always open to consult with people and help them out if we can. And my biggest play is just helping other people. I get more out of helping people in this group than I get out of the success that I have myself.
We love you, Kevin. I had the pleasure, Kyle Beauchamp and I, he's another agent on Team 912. We were in a hoarder house, and who do we bump into? Kevin Severson. And Kyle comes out, he goes, he knows you. Everybody knows you. And I was like, oh, what? And I'm like, oh, it's Kevin. So we're like hanging out. It was filled with junk. And Kevin, I have to tell you, I got the house. Kevin didn't. Yes. And the buyer sent me back. She goes, they want to know what's in all the crap. I mean, there's crap everywhere. And I didn't look at anything. It smelled. I was kind of ready to get out of there. It was fake flowers for days. Who hoards fake flowers? I don't know. But they thought there was treasure in there. And I told the buyer, I said, it's fake flowers and nobody's going to give anyone a dime for that. So anyway, sorry. I got you on that one for once. I beat Kevin out, Mike. I don't know if you heard that, but proud of that. Our next sponsor we want to thank is Wingman Junk Removal. Keith Gay is not here, but I do love Wingman Junk Removal. They are so good. They actually cleaned out the hoarder house that I got out from under Kevin. I am going to say that 20 times. But Wingman is great. I've known them for a while.
For an extra 5G.
Yeah. What I appreciate about Wingman is I've known him so long, and he knows I will come kill him. And I give him codes to houses, and he goes and does the job, and I have yet to have an issue. And I know if he does have an issue, if I do have an issue, he'll come back. So Wingman has been great. Our next sponsor is Guild Mortgage, and Gabe's not here. Gabe is the lender on the house that I'm selling that I beat Kevin out for. I'm just going to wear this. I'm going to ride this pony.
She just twisted that thing. You need to.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, but just let me bask in this one, Kevin. Just give me this one, okay? Just give it to me. It's true. He is the lender. I appreciate Gabe. Gabe, we've had several issues with the house I got out from under Kevin, and Gabe has made it all happen. So Guild Mortgage, y'all, Dave, can I get an amen? They will get the house closed, and you will have drama. And I appreciate Gabe. They're a great lender. All these sponsors are on cashflowsavannah.com. By the way, if you hear of a sponsor that you want to work with, please go to cashflowsavannah.com. We have tons of lenders. We have Oscar there. Please do that. Our next sponsor is one of my favorite people, Quentin Marlin. He is an excellent closing attorney. I sat at the closing table with him, not at the house I stole from Evan. But Quentin made my day. He told me, he said he's starting to see more and more people from this room at the closing table. And he said the other day he had 3 people and they had all met in this room and had chosen him to be their closing attorney. And I love that, right? We love working with friends. We love when everyone does well. And so I hope you know, we want you to work together. I hope you find a deal in this room. I hope you make some money. Like, we're so thankful. So Quentin is awesome with Ellis Painter. Our next sponsor is Low Tide Private Lending. Low Tide is great. They have been a sponsor for 2 years. We really appreciate them. They're out of Charleston. I guess they didn't make it down tonight. They're serving real estate investors across Savannah and the Carolinas. They specialize in short-term funding for fix and flip projects, rental renovations, and creative financing solutions tailored to meet investors' unique needs. So these guys have really closed some tough deals. So
also do semi-rural.
Semi-rural. Well, they do trailers.
I don't know. I haven't tried that one yet, but
I don't think they do, but I would call them if you have something crazy. Our next lender is Coastal Equity Group, also one of our longtime sponsors, which we really appreciate. They're the leading private lender in the South Carolina, and they're known across Southeast for delivering white glove service and best-in-class direct funding. They specialize in residential investment loans, including fix and flips, new construction, rental, and transactional financing. With in-house underwriting and a fast, dependable process, Coastal Equity Group structures loans around each deal's unique needs and prioritizes long-term partnerships. And that's huge. It is super nice to work with people that you know and trust. So I am trying to get my card together. I'm sorry. Next up on our list, thank you so much. I hope I got all of our sponsors. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. Bridge Capital. I do have a card for them. I'm sorry, Bridge Capital. They're actually our longest running sponsor. Thank you, Kevin. They finance up to 100% of purchase price and rehab, which is hard to find. And you should expect a 3% origination fee in most cases, very typical. 1% a month rate, interest only, paid monthly. There's a 6-month initial term and 6-month extension available. So Bridge Capital is great. Again, all their contact info is on the site. Did you have a question, Lawrence? Sorry? Oh. Crap. Oh, that is you.
Yes.
Lawrence, come up here. I'm sorry, Lawrence. I'm so sorry. I don't have a card on you. Talk about what? I'm so sorry. Thank you for saying something. I feel this big right now.
No. You're fine.
Thank you to Quality Coastal Homes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, we appreciate you.
So my name Lawrence Minker with Quality Coastal Homes. I'm an investor and also a real estate agent. I'm like Kevin. I'm here to help people. I help people kind of go from either rehabs or long-term rentals and just kind of just mentor them through the process. Recently, we're doing new construction. So sometimes lenders need somebody with some experience on new construction. So I've been helping people kind of bridge that gap and maybe come on the loan with them, of course, for a fee, but be able to transition you from not having that experience to having that experience and kind of walk you through that process. So once again, I'm Lawrence Minker with Quality Coastal Homes, and we believe in the quality way.
And Lawrence, one of your investment specialties has been new build to rent. Okay. So if you're doing a lot of construction, this guy knows numbers.
Yep.
Like, I bet you're good. I need to ask you about a foundation issue and see what you think it might cost.
Let me know.
Oh, we were just talking about Keith Gay. Welcome. Wingman made it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Said all the bad things already?
Yes.
Sweet.
Yes. Welcome, Keith. So who in the room is new? I know you guys haven't been before. Anybody else? Is this your first meetup? Do we have any other new? Ford, you guys, please, I want you to take a mental note. When we're done here, I want everyone to greet these guys. Make sure they come back, okay? We welcome you. We want you to do well. Hope you learn something, and we're really glad to have you. So welcome to our newcomers. My favorite part of the meetup so much. Who has a win? I love hearing wins. Did you know that mine is taking a house from Kevin? Okay, great. Got that out of the way.
We got that.
Wow.
Okay, Lawrence has a win.
So my win is I became an agent last year. I've been investing since 2015. And my buyer actually is going to be closing June the 12th. So it's going to be my very first closing as a real estate agent.
Come on now.
And it's a big win.
Congrats. Congrats. That's amazing. Can you walk around with us, please? Thank you. Who else has a win? I can just keep hammering Kevin. Come on, Mike.
I managed to sell my most toxic property yesterday.
Oh, yay!
It's gone. I've never been so happy to lose 90 grand in my life.
You know what? That is not the first time those words have been said in this room, actually. It is a tough market. Very good. I'm going to give another one. Team 912, I got a listing. I told the guys on my team, and one of the agents, Kyle, had a buyer, and I was able to list the property and put it under contract the same day. And it was a huge win for the buyer and the seller. And in this market, yes, proud. So we're going to have like days on market of like 20 days. And we're helping a vet too. And that was a big deal. So I'm really proud of that win. Any other wins? We want to know. Keith, did you buy a building yet? Not yet. Keith, come on. We want you to buy a building. Who has a want? Anyone here looking for something?
Always looking for.
Come on, Keith.
Looking for a framing crew.
Microphone, Mike.
In where?
Keith is looking for a framing
Looking
crew.
for a framing crew that can help me out on the Idaho house that we bought.
Keith, I think you need to talk to Lawrence back there.
Sweet. Thank you.
Who else has a want? Kevin. Oh,
Anything that's reasonably priced that'll make a good rental property, we're looking at multifamilies, anything like that. If we can find anything that cash flows, we'll take it on. And we don't mind doing some rehab. We don't want to do heavy in rehab at this point, but we don't mind doing rehab.
lipstick rehabs. I am always wanting wholesalers.
And
don't tell me.
I will not lose another one to her.
We'll see. We'll see about that. We'll see about that. Listen, I had a killer line on that. Like my buyer was like, I think she knew about it before anybody.
Well, they called me direct.
Yeah, well, I can't take credit.
that work
Fully, it
for
was
you?
my buyer, but
How'd that work for you?
Well, honestly, it was not as bad as described.
it was.
It was much nicer than it's described. So I mean, it was closer to a
Lipstick.
a retail
Yeah.
buyer than a wholesale.
Okay.
Were you told this? I was told that the person died and then the dogs had left a bunch of feces and then ate her. I was told this crazy story.
I was told that.
None of that appeared to be true, but I'm telling you, Kyle and I went in there like we were putting Vicks on our upper lip and masks, and I had Publix bags on our shoes and gloves. And then we get in and we're all like, well, this is kind of a letdown. It's awesome. Like, what fun is
I
that?
should have took pictures because I could.
Julie.
I laughed at that one.
That's kind
It's
of
on
like
YouTube. I have you on my YouTube now.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah, now I need to put you on my YouTube losing to me. But in there, we're all like looking like it's COVID. I mean, we were ready for war. It was
Julie, that's as disappointing as the squatter house.
right. Right. Man, just poo-poo money. That's all we find. We want better. Okay. Next, I am very proud. If you can hand that to Dave, Mike. Yo, Dave Demchik is one of the best agents you've ever seen. And a year ago, Dave was not selling real estate. He was just sitting on this very expensive real estate license. And he made the mistake of being like, I need money. And I said, well, wouldn't it be nice if you
Exactly
sold
what
real
it's-
estate, Dave? Wouldn't it be nice if you had a real estate license in your pocket? Oh, yeah, you do. I think you've been an agent longer than I have, Dave. But he never used it. So I basically put a gun to his head and made him join Team 912. Dave is one of the best investors. He's such a good agent. He's been really making a difference in this community. But Dave is a specialist, okay? All of us on my team are real estate investors. We all understand investing. Everyone has their thing. And this is one of Dave's specialties. And to me, this is a subject that no one really talks about, okay? And to get a guy of Dave's caliber to drive up from, he was on vacation, I'm going to say vacation, in Miami. And he drove up just for this, y'all. And we just love Dave. He's always in and out of Savannah, but I had to like beg and borrow and steal to get him to come today. But you guys, this is going to be so informational. I don't know if you're going to do Section 8, but you will definitely learn something. And you're definitely going to be able to talk Section 8 more, succinctly after this. So anyway, welcome, Dave Demchik. All right. Welcome.
Appreciate it.
this working? I've never actually used a microphone before.
It is,
Or that
it
sticks.
is on to my phone. You are good.
So we're going to talk about Section 8. So Section 8 is kind of how I started long-term rentals. At the time, it was the cheapest house with the best cash flow. Still kind of is. And for me, that was Section 8. So we're just going to go over kind of the highlights of the program, the ins and outs, the good, the bad, the ugly, and then anybody got any questions, we'll go over them. So what is Section 8 investing? Federal Housing Choice Voucher Program. HUD pays a portion of tenants' rent directly to the landlord every month. So a lot of times in this asset class, one of the biggest problems is chasing down your rent. So this takes that out of the equation. That's really the big benefit. They pay a premium for that, but that is far and away the biggest benefit of Section 8. So the local housing authority qualifies the tenant, sets the maximum rent, payment standard, and inspects the unit. Tenant pays roughly 30% of their income. HUD pays the rest by ACH on the first. You own or operate a normal rental. Section 8 is a payment source, not a property type. So that's, I think, one of the big kind of the things that gets miscommunicated is Section 8 is the payee, but this is really an asset class. So this is going to be a lot of your lower end rentals, certain areas, west side. We all kind of know the areas, right? So this is a voucher program. So if you have a property for rent, you're going to get people asking, do you accept vouchers? And if you do, then you're looking at Section 8 tenants. Most people, it's not exclusively Section 8, but I prefer them. Like I said, I have property management, so I don't micromanage them. I love when they get me a Section 8 tenant, but if they don't want to get Section 8, that's fine. But yeah, it's really more about the asset class. So any single family, duplex, small multi can be approved if it passes inspection and the rent is within the payment standard. Now we're going to get to the payment standard in a couple slides, and I think some of you guys will be a little surprised how high it's gotten here in Savannah. It's gotten a little crazy. All right, next slide, please. How it works, step by step. So list and screen, advertise a unit, screen tenant the same way you screen any other renter. Second step is the voucher. Tenant brings a voucher. You sign a request for tenancy approval with the housing authority. Number 3 is the inspection. Housing authority inspects to HUD housing quality standards. If they pass, the move-in is approved. Now, real quick on that step, like you hear a lot of horror stories about that. Savannah is actually really good. Savannah is actually very reasonable. They don't usually ding you for a bunch of little stupid stuff. It's safety stuff. It's stuff that really needs to be addressed. They're not overly crazy like certain other markets can be. So I think when you hear people talk about it in other markets and nationally, you hear horror stories about the inspections. It has not been my experience here. HAP contract, signed a housing assistant payment contract, rent is set, ACH starts. Annual recertification. So there is an annual inspection and a tenant recertification. Rent increases require notice and approval. So every year they will inspect the property and recertify the tenant. So the other thing that they've changed recently, before their only rule about raising rents was you can only do it once a year. So you had kind of your own anniversary date, or if you didn't do it for a couple of years, now it has to be done more than 60 days before the recertification. The other thing I would mention, we're talking specifically about like housing authority here in Savannah. There's other programs too for displaced veterans, homeless transition programs. There's other voucher programs, but they all pretty much work the same. Next slide, please. You want me to do that? You want
No, I'll do it for you, but if you want to look here, you can.
Okay.
That was easier.
No, I can't see that.
Okay.
Okay. again, some of this is, and we'll get into more of the pricing stuff. It used to be that you could get really low rent properties, you could get way more rent in Section 8 than you would in other. Now, it's still like you can still get way more, but there's so much more inventory available to them. There's so many more people taking vouchers. They kind of you do have to have some nicer treatment. You don't want stuff that's easy to destroy by any means. But I remember you and I were looking at property. I think it was 39. These guys put brand and all this stuff. Like, what are they doing? Kind of makes sense. They've seen some of these numbers. So systems, HVAC compliance. So tower, fiberglass, no surrounds, no drywall behind the shower, GFCIs required relocation, outlet switches are replaced. They will check them, check every light, every switch, every outlet. Working smoke detectors and CO2 detectors, handrails, that's a big one. And then chipping paint is another one that they can be a little strict about. Service HVAC, water heater, roof, so they pass inspection every year. Again, that's kind of just good hygiene anyway, but reasonable. All right, raising rents on a Section 8 unit. Rent is capped at the Housing Authority's payment standard for that bedroom count and city. Know the numbers before you buy. Increases typically require 60 days written notice. That's a hard rule here now, I can tell you from experience. Submit a rent increase request. HA reviews it against payment standard and rent reasonableness. We'll talk about that when we get to the rent page. Payment standards are updated annually. Set a calendar reminder to request an increase the day you're eligible. Document upgrades, new HVAC, flooring, appliances. They justify higher rent reasonableness comps. So a couple things on that. I mean, honestly, taxes and insurance have been going up so much lately. That's justification in itself most of the time. But if you have a multi, if you have a duplex, a quad, there is a parameter that you can't be charging Section 8 $1,500 and everyone else is paying $600. I don't know what the magic number is, but it has to be within a reasonable range for what you're charging for the other units in the building. But it is a great idea if you do upgrades. That's another reason you should be able to raise it. And I don't know, it's gone up so fast. It used to be 10%. They'd only let you do 10% increase. It's gone up so fast. I think there's a lot of leeway there. Okay, next slide, please. These are the payment standards. Now, full disclosure, I don't know anyone that's ever gotten one of these numbers, but they've gotten higher, as you can see, crazy. A one bedroom caps out at $1,574. 2 bedrooms, $1,742, 3 bedrooms, $2,344. Now, the reality is some of the voucher amounts are based on those person's income, stuff like that. The best strategy is get a good Section 8 tenant, keep them forever, and aggressively raise their rent every year. That is the only way you will get close to your maximum. Now, it's 110% of fair market rent, what they consider, and that's just constantly going up. So this is probably tripled in the last 6 years, I would say. I mean, I remember I had Section 8 paying $650 on a 2 bedroom, and they were paying more. They were raising the bar.
I remember one was 3 bedrooms, $750.
I mean, so it's just
Town is $650 a month.
it's gotten crazy. So you can imagine if you can get, a quad before, I mean, you can see how the numbers just get crazy. Bring in $7,000 a month. Okay, next slide, please. So upside is long tenure. It is a trade-off, right? So the upside is a long tenure. Tenants often stay 5-10 plus years. There's lower turnover, lower vacancy, and lower make-ready costs. Rent hits on the first like clockwork. It's recession-resistant. The voucher doesn't go away in a downturn. Trade-off is heavier wear. Properties are typically not maintained the way owner-occupant would. Plan for higher Capex reserves and a bigger make-ready when they do move. Annual inspections force you to keep the unit up to standard and build durable from day one, and the math still works. And again, some of this is just a microcosm of any submarket, right? Like you're going to have great Section 8 tenants that treat it better than you treat your house. You're going to get worse. But typically they do stay longer. So that is the trade-off for sure. That might be our last. Section 8 or not, it's your choice. So accepting vouchers is optional in Georgia. Landlords choose whether to participate. Some properties are better suited, lower priced rentals where the payment standard meets or beats market rent. In higher rent submarkets, market tenants often pay more than voucher allows, and Section 8 might not pencil. You can run a mixed portfolio, some units Section 8, others at market. Once a unit is on a HAP contract, the rules are the rules, so go in eyes open. I think that's it. No. Use the right management. This is actually very important.
Yes.
Section 8 paperwork, HQS inspections, and HA communication add real operational load. It's true. And if you get somebody that's familiar with the system, it's not a big deal. If you're doing it yourself and you're forgetting dates, you're going to miss rent for a whole year. They just literally told me, see you next year. Manager who knows local housing authority gets inspections scheduled and re-inspected fast. Every day of delay is lost rent, 100%. They handle annual recertifications, rent increase requests, tenant dispute inside the program's rules. They keep your maintenance vendors lined up so HQS items get cured before the inspector comes back. If you're investing from out of state, professional management is non-negotiable. I have professional management for all mine. Again, I try not to micromanage them. I think for me, I love the Section 8 because that ACH hits my bank account every month. And I don't have to hear the story of why only 300 was deposited this week and the other 200 will be when the neighbor's uncle gets the other thing, and then 200 will come next week. So, but I think with any rental property, you always want to factor in management. Even if you want to manage it yourself, make sure it pencils, because one day you might not want to. And Section 8 might make that day come sooner than later for some people. But again, I don't know. I've had a lot of Section 8 tenants for a long time. Some of them have been great tenants. So yeah, it just kind of depends. But I think it does take a special kind of manager that's willing to do that. And that's something I think if you want to get into the Section 8 game, ask management that up front. So most of them are very one side or the other. They're either all about it or they have nothing to do with it. So good to kind of know that going in. And especially the ones that are in the game will have experience with people. It just makes it a lot more cohesive. Dealing with the inspectors, you're going to get a little break here and there. You're going to get whatever. So definitely recommend that. All right, what else we got? How to list a Section 8 property. So affordablehousing.com, formerly Go Section 8, is a dominant voucher tenant search site. Cross-listed on Zillow, apartments.com, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist. State clearly, vouchers welcome. So I would say the other way is in Savannah, the housing authority has their own website. You can list properties on there. It's a one-pager. You have to have it into them by the 1st or the 15th. They post it on the 1st and the 15th. That's also a good idea to go on there to see your competition, right? You definitely want to list on Zillow and all the places, and you definitely want to say vouchers welcome. But on that HAS site, everything is vouchers welcome. So it's really good to see. There's been a lot of inventory lately in this space. So it's been really interesting to go on there and see what 4 bedrooms are actually going for. Because if you've got a 4 bedroom you want to rent for whatever that said, $3,500, you might want to go on there and look at what everybody else is getting in rent. So, but definitely still do Zillow, still do all the things. Price at or just under the payment standard for the bedroom count. Overshooting kills the deal. Photograph the unit clean, vacant, and well lit. Highlight new flooring, fresh paint, working HVAC. So that's the thing that I think also gets misunderstood is like there's some, you just say you want Section 8, and then you get a Section 8 tenant. I mean, these people, it's a voucher. They're still looking, they get to decide where they want to live. If they have a voucher, yes, they can only go somewhere that accepts vouchers. But if that place has granite and yours doesn't, they're probably staying there with their voucher. Screen the tenant, credit, criminal, prior landlord references, same as any rental. Voucher doesn't replace screening. 100%. I mean, credit, I tend to be a little more lenient with the credit because they're not the one paying. Obviously, I want to know about evictions, judgments, anything like that. Obviously, criminal. Once chosen, get the RFTA in immediately and schedule inspection. Speed matters. 100%, because if they say, hey, we want you to just do these 2 little things, you can get them the next day, no problem. Some big thing, and now it's weeks out, these people will go find somewhere else to go. So yeah, definitely be on top of that.
So they don't inspect until you have a tenant.
Correct. Yeah. It's once that tenant is placed, that's kind of the last step before you technically sign the paper and then they inspect, but before they'll actually let them move in. Yeah. And they're, like I said, they're a lot more lenient on the re-inspections. I've had some where the tenant's not being cooperative with them and not showing up for the inspection, and it gets delayed, they still paid their rent. So There are quirks to it, just like anything else, but generally, the inspection is really not a big deal here. I had them in Charlotte before here, and it was always a thing. It was like they came in looking for something, and here it's a lot more this attitude of like, we're here to help, we're here to facilitate, you know. So give credit where it's due. They're not always easy to get on email, but they are good at inspections. All right, challenges: go in eyes open. Inspection delays. Housing authority sets the pace, not you. Vacancy can stretch 30 to 60 days. You know, they switched to like virtual inspections during COVID, and now they've like hired this third party company. So they've actually been really good about getting in there in a timely manner. Failed inspections over small items, missing outlet cover, peeling paint, trigger re-inspections, and lost rent. Again, in theory, yes. In reality, if it's something small like that, they're not going to mess with your rent. They don't want the people to move out. They just want you to fix it real quick and keep it moving. Rent ceilings. You can't simply raise the market. You're capped at a payment standard. That's 100% true. And, you know, one of the problems, I mean, I was guilty of myself, like not raising rents periodically at a reasonable rate. And the next thing you know, you're trying to rate, you hear it, oh my God, it's up $300-400, and you can only go up 10% or whatever. Like I said, it's gone up so much so fast. They've been very lenient the last few years on letting you raise it more aggressively. But it's just a lot easier once you have a tenant there, just do it regularly. Just do it like clockwork every year. Higher property wear means higher reserves. Don't underestimate Capex. For sure. I mean, I know there's some of you guys that do burrs. Obviously, you know, we're trying to avoid Capex as much as possible, but got to stay on top of the HVAC, all that stuff. Federal funding and program rules can shift. Stay current on HUD and local HA policy. Yeah, you know, it used to be years ago, if the government shut down, you didn't get your check. Now it seems like you'd be delayed, right?
Oh,
That hasn't happened the last few government shutdowns. Luckily, I don't know. Don't ask any questions. Just hasn't happened. But there have been proposals of only letting people stay on Section 8 for 2 years, requiring all these things. I don't know. None of it's really materialized. So a lot of people were really worried about it, but it hasn't happened yet. But it definitely can happen. Evictions follow normal landlord-tenant law, but HA process adds steps and time. Yeah, I mean, if a tenant is paying $100 of the $1,000 rent, they don't pay their $100, you can still file an eviction. It can get a little tricky. Usually their caseworker will kind of try to finesse some things, make some stuff happen. There are charities that step in and help sometimes. Most landlords just eat the $100 if they have to at some point. They won't lose a tenant over that. But sometimes you just have a problem tenant. And even if Section 8's paying the whole thing and you're getting paid every month, it's just not worth the headache. If you've got a multi-unit, they're just a cancer in the building. It's not worth the trouble. That's when it can be a bit of an issue. But again, it can happen with a non-Section 8 tenant just as easily. But there are a couple more hoops at that point. Your lease is still with the tenant, and you have a payment agreement with HAS. So the eviction is between you and the tenant. You can't obviously evict them for non-payment. It gets a little tricky because, for instance, not to go off on a tangent, but you know, if you collect any rent, that voids your eviction. So Section 8's paying every month, you're collecting some rent when it hits your account automatically. So evicting a tenant for non-payment gets very, very tricky. The other thing is, a lot of those type of tenants have found a way to get free housing. They're also very good at getting free lawyers. So I learned the hard way once, you can only charge the late fee on their payment. They're not responsible for the whole late fee. They're only responsible for the late fee on the payment they did. And I had to hire a lawyer to find that out. They did not. They had a free lawyer. So it's really important to just screen right. You know, it really is just get the right people in there from the beginning, try to keep them happy. They stay there forever. That's how you're going to get the most rent, the least turnover, all the good things. So just like a regular tenant in that sense. Yeah, that was that. Section 8 is a strategy, not a shortcut. So build durable, know the payment standard, use management that knows the housing authority, done right's reliable, recession-resistant rent, direct from HUD, every first of the month. Yeah, I could never raise my regular tenant's rent as much as Section 8 will let you raise, right? Like regular rent has not really tripled in the last 6 years, at least not with the same tenant.
no.
Like you can kick someone out and get more rent, but keeping the same tenant, raising it $300-400 a year for the last few years has just not really been realistic. So it has been good. I mean, like I said, at these kind of numbers, they have a lot more options. So it starts to matter more. Your finishes and fixtures. You want to make it durable for sure, but it's still got to be nice. So, is that it? That is it.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's say you're getting 2,000 in rent and you want to go up every year. What math equation do you use to know how much you can or should go up? How do you know what that number should be?
It's hard to say. I really feel like at some degree it's a negotiation because they won't tell you the maximum. The one thing that gets a little tricky, and frankly, no one really pays attention, but I mean, you have to have in your lease what you're raising the rent to. This is actually the rent being charged to the tenant. They're just the ones paying it. So a lot of people have some standard language in their lease, 3%, 7%, and now you're over here trying to raise it 15%. I mean, a lot of times it slips through the cracks, but it might be worth putting something in your lease like rent will increase to 110% of fair market value, whatever they said their calculation for the max is. If the lease says that, I don't know how they could really. I think they will. It used to be 10%. That used to be their rule. But then it went up 30% a year for like 4 years. So they couldn't really say that. So no one really knows. But I think a good strategy is just ask for the maximum. I mean, they'll deny you. They have no problem denying you if they won't. I think some of it is, I think at some point they're going to get really serious about looking at like, you're charging too much for where you're at. Like right now, these are the maxes, but I don't know many people actually getting that. But the numbers have gotten way better. I mean, we're getting 1880 for 3 bedrooms on the west side, 3-bedroom duplex units. Those 1-bedroom numbers seem crazy high to me. But it also depends on, I think, what the demand is, right? Like
1,200.
Yeah, like that'd be great. I mean, I would assume, I hope.
And the tenant continues to pay the same amount, even if you raise rent. If they're paying $50, they always pay $50.
So that is, every year there's a reinspection of the property and there's also a recertification of the tenant, meaning they're gonna look at their financial situation. They may have to pay more, they may have to pay less. We just had one where she had children in the house. One of the children is an adult now, is not a dependent, so her number went down. She has to pay more. They have a lot of ways they can get help, right? So that's between her and her caseworker, but it went down, then it went back up. So she figured it out. Now they're paying actually more rent than they were before somehow. So, yeah.
Who else has questions? I'm going to come by with the microphone. Anyone? Marcella?
I just have a quick question. How do you screen tenants?
I'm sorry, that mic's not working, I don't think. I can't hear you.
No, can you know a little bit more about how you screen tenants and like you have a program that you use or kind of how that process works?
I personally have private management for all mine. So I let them, I don't know what program they use. Definitely criminal. I actually talked to mine today about how they do it. And it's some, I mean, Zillow has a really good screening program now. So there's a lot of like all-in-one solutions that do like credit, evictions, judgments, criminal, something else, public records, I guess. But again, it's just what your appetite is for. I mean, I have, some people are more lenient on certain things than others, like I said, but definitely evictions is a big one for me, and the criminal stuff, certain.
Yes. We went for professional management with apartments. Apartments.com has some pretty good screening. I just use professional management. It makes my life easier because
call Julie for all your Section 8 management.
There's nothing worse than getting the 3 a.m. on a Saturday morning phone call when you're shithouse trying to figure out how to convince them that the toilet does not need to be unplugged right now. So yeah, and ask me how I know.
Well, and if we can delve into property management for just a second, I don't know if you guys will find this interesting. I'll move up here with Dave. But we were recently told that we can no longer do criminal background checks. Well, we can. We cannot discriminate based on a criminal background. Like the government now considers if they have paid their debt to society, we need to honor that. And so we, at RE/MAX, we've just stopped screening for criminal. We can kind of check different ways and see if maybe they have something going on there. But you can only, HUD guidelines are what you advertise is what you have to go on. So your typical advertisement goes credit score, income, blah, blah, blah. And so what we have found anyway in real estate is that your credit score tells a whole lot about you. And if you're not a good person, you probably don't pay your bills. And so I've had to go over that with owners because I have an owner and this owner lives on property. And so technically she can discriminate because she lives there, but she owns more than 4 units on that property. So she actually can't discriminate because you have to have 3 or less units plus you. But if you had a quad and you lived in one quad and you knew Kevin, had a criminal background, or you didn't like him, or you only wanted chicks, like she could discriminate and just have chicks. I can't as a professional property manager, but with her living there, but because she's over 5 units and we're her property manager, I had to tell her, she asked me about the background check because she's right next door. And I said, man, we're going to do our absolute best, but we will not be doing a criminal background check because at this point, we kind of rather not know, but we're going to look very heavily at that credit score and income. And so far, it's been really good, but just be aware that discrimination and HUD rules are very serious, and you don't want to violate that. You do want to follow the law. You do not want to get in trouble. That is a very expensive lawsuit, and that's a 900-pound gorilla that has all the lawyers in the world. So be aware. Look at credit score and income is my best advice to all of you.
My advice is get a property manager and tell them you don't want someone with a crazy record in there, and then how they make the sausage, they make the sausage.
To that same exact situation, you cannot tell tenants that they have to make triple their income.
Say that again.
You cannot tell them they have to make triple their income. That's discrimination.
But you're advertising that that's your parameter.
But you cannot legally in the state of Georgia do that anymore. Last year, they passed a law saying that you cannot discriminate based on them not having triple income. Now, you can say they don't meet your income guidelines, but you cannot say they have to have triple income.
Oh.
That's a lot. We found out when we did some exploring, and you cannot do it anymore.
Oh, wow.
So, and to that extent, when you go to recertify for the increase, you say 60 days before the tenant is requalified, right?
Correct.
So, is the qualification for the tenant usually about the same time as the lease renewal?
It's the exact same time. So it's a recertification of both of the property and of the tenant.
So on Section 8 renewals, it's always follows the property lease.
Yeah, I mean, it would be with their lease because you had to get certified originally when they moved in, so it'll be a year from that. So
Okay. Yeah.
it's 2 separate things, right? So they're going to recertify the property, make sure it's okay. You're going to put your rent increase. They're going to increase that based on whatever they do, and then how much the tenant pays is part of the tenant recertification. So it's all going to happen at the same time, but it's technically 3 separate steps. So
Okay.
in other words, they're not going to not approve your increase based on what the tenant recertification happens, or I mean, you will have to get it to pass for them to actually pay you the increase that they agreed to.
But that said, if you don't get 60 days before, then you're out for the next whole year.
Correct.
You cannot resubmit.
That's a new rule last year. It just took effect in August. So it used to be you could only do it once a year. It had a year from the last time you did it. But now it has to be no less than 60 days. And they denied me at 56. I was communicating with her on like the 3rd, and it was the 1st was the date. So she was like, no.
So do you do it at 65 days? Like, what if it's a Saturday?
You want to have it in 60 some days. I don't know that it has to be. I think it just has to be in. The request has to be in 60 days. It's my understanding that it was funny because my question on the 2nd was, I thought it meant within 60 days. I thought they wanted it within 60. No, they want it more than 60 days. So I'm like, well,
But
why can't I
just
put it
over.
364 days? That's before 60 days.
So what you're telling me, Dave, is let's say you have a 7-bedroom. I wish you did.
I wish I did too.
You're going to, day 63 before renewal, you're going to say, I'm raising rent to $39.22. You always give this number as because that's the max. And then they tell you, no, we'll give you $39.12. Or do they get the number, or do you have to keep guessing?
I've never had them say no. But I do think if it was like you're going from 1,500 to 39.22, they might look at comps. They might say, I did have to sign a form for like a quad saying no one else is paying less than 50% or 75% of what you're raising your rent to.
Okay.
So they want to make sure you're raising everybody at the same time equally. But I don't know that. I think they might ask you for justification why it should be that. But it's not like there's a magic dollar number that they can say yes or no. I think they'd counter with the number they could do, and I've never had it happen. And then it would be a matter of how they came up with that. But it's gonna be comp based or something like that. Yeah, 7 bedrooms. There's not many comps, so you probably charge whatever you want.
Are you allowed to do regular inspections in the property for your property manager?
property manager might be better answer. I'll tell you a little. I mean, you can go in your property usually 24 hours if that's what your lease says for any reason.
Okay.
What I do is I pay for AC filters, and I have my property manager go in every 90 days and change them. So the AC filters are getting changed, and we get eyes on the property. So, but that's a good question from a property management standpoint. Like, I don't know if there's a
minimum of 6 months. You want to get in there every 6 months and just check for leaks. You know, sometimes you'll get a leaky sink, and if it's left alone, it can be devastating. But yeah, everything's negotiable. I've had guys ask us to go in every month, and I won't do it personally. I don't want someone in my house every month. You know, so you want the tenant to feel like it's their home, and you don't want to disrespect them in any way. You're really just caring for the property, and it's important to focus on that. But typically, it's every 6 months. But 90 days is not dumb either. So, was there another question? Mike scratched his head. I thought he was about to ask a question. Yeah.
Over the years, we've learned ourselves because we did quarterly inspections on everybody. And we've learned that normally, if you do your first quarter inspection on the renewal of a lease, you pretty well find out whether you got a tenant that you've got to really watch or not. If you got a tenant that's not so good, you come back the next quarter and the next quarter. But if you got a tenant that's good, you'll wait till the 9-month period. So, and what we do is we got in our leases that if there's any damage, they have to pay for the damage repairs right there during that time, not at the end.
Right.
wow, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that didn't kind of come up on these slides that I mean is very important to talk about. Like we said, Section 8 is a trade-off. You get a little higher rent. You do not get a security deposit from them, and that's a big problem for a lot of people. You can charge the tenant. Whether or not they'll be able to come up with it or have it is a different story. There are charities that can help with that. But Section 8, in my opinion, the one thing they are bad about is not having any accountability for a tenant damaging anything. You know, they come for recertification, the window is broken and the glass is all outside. Somehow I have to pay for the window to keep getting my rent, right? So they just have no mercy of, they're not going to fix anything. They're not going to pay for anything. I mean, if it's super egregious, there probably is a process you could follow. You could take them to court, whatever. But so that is kind of a big trade-off. And, you know, like I have a property manager here in town who's not a big fan of the Section 8 programs, but he will take voucher tenants if they're paying a high percentage of their rent, and he charges everyone a security deposit. He will not let anyone move in without a security deposit. So that is another thing that a lot of people are like, I would never do that. I've never moved someone in without a security deposit. The security deposit is obviously not for rent. So just because the rent's covered, that has nothing to do with the security deposit. So I see the case for it. But the reality is in a lot of those cases, that tenant's probably not going to be able to come up with a security deposit. So is the year of increased rent the juice worth the squeeze? That's kind of a decision everybody has to make.
Any other questions? Oh, I'm coming. Okay, we'll get Trevor. I'll get you next.
How much security deposit do you ask for? Is it 1 or 2 months?
Usually a month's rent. I mean, I think even though we kind of say like make them bulletproof, like there's always stuff they can break, right? And if someone really wants to do damage, I've actually heard of people like going after people for like vandalism. If like a tenant really went crazy and like messed something up. But usually a month. Usually, I mean, you know, in a lot of areas they charge like first month's, last month's and a deposit. Here it's usually just first month's and a deposit, which is 1 month. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. With your Section 8s, do you find a higher rate of eviction?
No, I would say a much lower rate of eviction. I mean, number one, most people are getting evicted for not paying their rent. So that's not really a problem here. I mean, much lower rate of eviction for sure. And I would say lower turnover too. I mean, I have some of my best tenants are Section 8. I probably only have 8 or 9 at any given time. But some of them have been with me 12, 14 years. They're the best plants everywhere, and they're just the best tenants. Like, and then some of them, the worst of the worst. Like they're the professional tenants. They know how to play the system. You can screen them all you want. You can meet them face to face. They're better at the game than you are, and they're just a nightmare. But I have a couple of those that weren't Section 8. They may set their boyfriend on fire in your unit. That was not a Section 8 tenant for the record.
Set their boyfriend on fire?
Tried to, but only set my building on fire, but not the one. The boyfriend survived.
Goodness. I swear. Yeah.
We had early in our career, a couple of years ago, we decided we were building a rental portfolio. So we decided, oh yeah, let's try a Section 8. You know, we had never entertained that before. So we we get this Section 8 tenant, and we didn't really know how much she was paying or how much the thing, and we didn't have anything to do except put a GIF, yeah, that one. That was close to a kitchen sink that wasn't there, and then she came back and it was fine. So you moved in within a couple of months. She was the only Section 8 tenant like we ever entertained, and she's the only one that we had to evict so far in our whole career.
Really?
Oh my God.
But like
She
a
knew the
Victor.
system, and she was paying most of the rent. We charged her like $1,000 rent. She had to pay like $750. She was only getting about $250 from Cap.
So did you evict her for like not paying rent, or was it something else?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't not for. So she continued to pay rent, but still said she broke the lease.
Mm.
She was hoarding dogs out on the screen porch in the back in the middle of January, and
That'll do it.
going to work and leave. Yeah, and the neighbors were already. We had the neighbors calling on her, and calling the management company because dogs were barking, and you weren't supposed to have dogs off a leash and let them run on the
Right.
property, and she was doing that, or her mother was somebody. Yeah, so it was that kind of thing.
Look, the problems I've had, I did have a hoarder on Section 8. I did have, the biggest problem I've had is like, I've had a few that are very, I don't want to say entitled, but like, they know I'm getting a lot of rent on their behalf. They're not paying any of it, but they're very quick to any little problem. They're calling the city. They might flush something in the toilet. Well, I was supposed to go in the toilet, but then they're going to call the city on me and I have to come around and fix it. But they're also paying a lot of money and I'll do it. Evicting people, if it's serious, yeah, I mean, you have to, right? And especially like in multis. I mean, that's most of my stuff, small multis, duplexes and quads. It'll just ruin your building. I mean, it'll ruin 3 other people's lives, and they will all be complaining about the one person on top of that person complaining, so it can multiply quickly on you. So yeah, I mean, I think if you have a good lease and, but yeah, if they're doing something crazy, you gotta kick them out. I mean, it's not any different. Who's paying the rent doesn't matter at that point, right? So. Yeah.
You'll remember this, Dave. There was a time in Savannah when tenants wouldn't even call the property manager. They would just call code enforcement.
Yeah.
And it's like,
mine's still living in that era.
You never told us the sink was broken. They never said anything, but then we get a code enforcement. Hey, Miss Smith is wanting this. And we're like, we have no record of any issue.
Yeah. I have a tenant.
Stop.
I need you to tell her that doesn't happen anymore because he's still doing it. Right?
Really? Code enforcement? Like, what are you doing?
Well, that's the thing is like, what do you want them to like condemn it? So you'll be kicked out.
Right. The reason I have code enforcement on speed dial because I had 2 of those when I first started.
I have one now. I mean, that's
first response to everything. They never called me.
Right.
They would call code enforcement. I'd get a call from code enforcement, and so I had to start saving their phone number, their numbers by phone.
Yeah, I've had a bunch of those. I don't really get. I think it's just like a personality trait. I don't know, but I mean.
Yeah, very confusing. I had one and they don't live there anymore. I was just like, look, this is crazy. Like,
yeah, I mean, we have had people that were like, we're not renewing the lease, for sure. A lot of times there's just stuff going on that's technically not like a violation of lease. It'd be hard to evict them for it, but like, as soon as this lease is up, we're never going to see each other again. So
yeah, we just pounded the rent and suddenly they didn't want to pay anymore. Oh, well, darn, we'll miss the code enforcement every day.
Yeah.
It was just like, I'm sorry, but they mistreated us. And so we just made sure it got real uncomfortable,
Yeah, it's funny. I was saying like, I actually lost a court case once when my property manager charged a late fee on the whole rent. But her portion was $7. Yeah. So I was only allowed to charge like 68 cents or something in a late fee. But I never cared about her paying the $7, but she was becoming such a big problem. And she got this like 200-pound service dog that jumped through the window, and it's just always something. So look, I think the other thing is like Section 8 gets lumped in with a lot of these other programs. Like there's a lot of tenants on the street I own a property on that come from a voucher program that is to transition people from homelessness to being housed. They have a lot of problems with that building has a lot of problems. And I think they're voucher tenants, but it's a different kind of program. Mm-hmm. Or criminals coming out, homeless veterans, there's all these different ones. And sometimes certain ones can be more problematic than others. But housing authority, to me, I've had pretty good luck with it. It could just be luck. I don't know. But they are harder on the property for sure. They tend to be. And I think some of that's just they're not paying anything. So, yeah.
Any other questions for Dave? Did everybody learn something? I hope so. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Dave. First time.
My
We
pleasure.
really appreciate you. So I really hope you all have had a great time. I hope everyone streaming has been able to hear everything. I'm trying to fix all the sound issues I've had in the past, but thank y'all for coming. We really appreciate you. Next month, I think I have a guy coming to talk about the ROI of landscaping. So we have some really good speakers coming up. I'm trying to hit you guys with different stuff, but for those of you that flip, and especially agents, like you want to sell a house and you go, hey, what could I get extra if I sell my house with this? So I think, tell me, if there's a subject you want to learn about, tell me. Do we want to learn about insurance? You know, anything. But Dave, thank you so much for talking about Section 8. This is something
pleasure.
most people do not talk about. Okay, it's just one of those underlying things that people hear about, but no one's super educated. And I've learned so much from you, and I really appreciate it. So anyway,
My
thank you
pleasure.
for coming. We
Thank
do
you for
have
having
the
me.
space for another hour, so please talk. If someone is new, I want every one of you to go give them a hug, give them a kiss, buy them a beer, whatever it takes to make them feel welcome. I did want to address, I want to say one other thing though. Dave was saying these inspections aren't too bad, and that is the reason I tell everyone Savannah is the best market in the world. Would you agree, Dave?
Yes. Yeah.
This is the best people, the best market. We have the best government not killing us on inspections. Like, I thought that was actually very interesting that you said Savannah isn't too bad. You've dealt with Section 8 inspections in other markets and you wanted to shoot them. And in Savannah, they're just trying to make everybody happy. And I'm sorry, this is the best market in the world. I really believe it. So thank you for being here. Invest in Savannah. And if you ever need help, call me, please. Thank you. Thank you.
Guess who's here?